We're blessed to be here, as always. It's not easy to get here. A great field of teams, and congratulate all who made it. We're excited to get started.
Questions? Start. And a reminder, no cell phone video during this as well, guys. Sorry.
Mason Young from the Tulsa World. Patty, just your recollection of what it was like facing Duke last time early in the season. What do you think that matchup has waiting for you this week?
Well, it's a very exciting game. It was one of our first games of the season. And so both teams, I know, have gotten that much better. So I think they would see us look different. I think we're going to see them look a little bit different, but it was fun. It made us better. That game made us better. They were very good on all sides, offense, pitching, defense. So I expect more of the same.
All right, we'll stay front row here with Jesse.
Jesse Brennan, OU Insider. Kinzie, just as one of the co-captains for this team, just what stood out to you about the journey to make it back here, not only for yourself, but what did you maybe learn about this team? And Patty, for you, you've talked a lot about this group of seniors. Just what does it mean to be back here? And maybe what did you've been through a lot of runs with them. What did you maybe learn about this team as well?
Absolutely. I think that this year we definitely saw us go through a little bit more adversity than normal on the playing field, which now we can look back and say that it was pretty fun because going through that made us all the more better. And I think that's something that's so special about this team is just the love that we have for each other. You know, you look around, you have 10 seniors that are world-class athletes, you know, on this team, and being able to celebrate one another and being able to be here for a fourth year in a row and just celebrate one another in this beautiful stadium, and just the special, you see the freshmen kind of following in the lead of not only the seniors, but just the standard of excellence at Oklahoma that we've been able to see throughout this entire decade. And Coach Gasso's done a great job of leading by example. You know, the culture that we've set, the love that we have for one another, it's really special. And I think that that's what has come to fruition throughout the adversity that we faced.
This team, this group of seniors are extremely special to this program. They'll go down in history, not just at OU, but I personally would say across the country as one of the best classes softball has ever seen. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of their work ethic. It would be easy to say we've had enough. This is hard and we've had enough. But they're elite athletes, and whether they want to or not, they grind, they work hard, and their best is always on the biggest platform. So what I've been lucky to have as a coach, and a lot of coaches will tell you, oh, if I could just have that graduating class back one more year and have the perfect storm hit when they came to Norman, and it never left. So it's been really a fun, but very prideful time for me to just watch them grow, not just as great athletes, but into women.
Go front row right to Ryan.
Ryan Aber from the Oklahoma. Patty, for you and for the players, just sort of building off that, what was the toughest time, the toughest moment of this season, and what's sort of been the key to turning the page and coming out on the other side of that so far?
The toughest time of the season for me is the fall because they just want to play. They want to play against someone else. But when we got into probably a little bit through conference, but there have been different times where we went on that win streak, and I mean, there have been highs and there's been lows, but they've handled the lows like women. And they've sat in a room together and they really work things out, whereas maybe other programs would say, just leave it alone, let it go. We know that doesn't work. Our culture is very important to us. I mean, they may not all be best friends, but when they're on the field, they are sisters. You feel that connection, you feel that energy, and we wouldn't be here without that.
Yeah, for me, I feel like OSU series was kind of a turning point that Sunday that we've really just carried into the postseason. I know that was a grind, and just having Kelly's back and other things like that, but also, I don't know, I think that day specifically we focused on celebrating one another, And from then on, that's what we've treated this entire rest of the season, and this chapter of what we're writing here is just celebrating the moments that we have. For some of us, like the three here, like this is our last. And for us, it's just cherishing these moments that we get to play on the field together. And then also just making that impact, that lasting impact, not only for the program, but on our team, and leaving our sisters better than we found them. And I think that's kind of what we felt from that series and that Sunday, that senior day that we really had. It was special because it kind of flipped that mindset of not pressing or being something we're not, and just being who we are and celebrating and having fun in these moments.
Kelly or Kinzie?
I mean, I would agree. I mean, I think there's been a lot of learning moments throughout the season, not just one particular area that was kind of tough. I mean, a season is tough for a reason, and it's just, like Alyssa said, just being able to celebrate this week and these seniors and leaving it all out on the field.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that one of the most difficult parts of this season was living at number one. And I think that that's something that we've had to realize this year is obviously, I mean, we weren't at the end. But like Coach Gasso said, you know, it's difficult. We've been, the past 3 years, it's been a blessing, but living up there, it's really hard to get there, but living up there, I'd say, is even harder. So definitely being able to take a step back and kind of just realize who we are as a team and the identity that we wanted to be on our own, that we don't have to listen to what anybody else has to say about us except for us. And I think that being able to realize that, like, that just relates to what Alyssa Brito said about that weekend against OSU. So just being able to maintain our identity and love one another and be who we are has allowed us to really blossom.
All right, we go front row left, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Patty and Kinzie, you guys have been here a lot. OSU and Texas have been here a lot. Your arch rivals. But they've two different circumstances this year. One, they've had some success against you that they really haven't had in the past. And two, the immediate future, very soon, you and Texas will be hitting the trail, OSU leading behind. How does that factor in if you guys run into them, and just the fact they've had success and all the drama around it?
Honestly, we don't get caught up in the drama. We get caught up in the moment more than anything. And if it takes us going through one of them, we're going to be ready to do that. So we don't get caught up in what happened before. It's really the now. We don't talk about the SEC. It's really the now, everything that we're doing here. This team, these athletes know the Big 12. That's what it's been. That's how it's going to finish. So I don't know. I don't think we look at them any differently. They're just somebody that is in our way that we got to go through.
All right, we go front row right to Ryan.
Coach, as the sport's grown, we've seen rise of replay, the extended format at the World Series. As you continue to push the sport forward, what do you kind of see as next? The next thing needs to be addressed, or a couple of things that continue for the sport to grow with the audience that grows?
If you ask for a review and you win it, you get your review back. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
We'll go to second row on the left, Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff Brown, Associated Press. Patty, you just mentioned history. You know, you talked about your senior class and how it could be arguably the greatest of all time. You win 4 straight. Nobody's done that. I don't think there's any argument if you do that. But everybody wanted to jump ahead at the beginning of the season. You won 3 in a row. Everybody wants to talk about 4. You had a process to get to where you are now. You had to go through a tough season, and you had to go through Florida State, a team that's been there before. What does it mean to you to be in position to I guess, leave no doubt about this senior class?
It's a good question, but I just got to tell you that we're not here to prove anybody anything. We're going to do the best we can to win it as a team, and not to prove to the world there's no doubt we are the best. We got to earn this, and to get here is difficult. It is difficult. So once we're here is where teams have to play their best softball. You got to go through some great teams to get what you want. So regardless, no matter what, I will still stand behind the statement that this is the best senior class that has ever been in softball.
All right, we'll go front row left to Ryan. meaning Joe, sorry.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Patty, the Pac-12 for so long has been the softball power. For it to now collapse and those historic programs going elsewhere, I just wanted to get your thoughts on kind of how that changes the sport.
Yeah, I've been around with the Pac-12 and watched some great softball as well. I was a junior college coach watching these teams beat each other up with other West Coast teams that are in it all the time. Some of the greatest softball players of all time have played at UCLA, Arizona, and some other West Coast teams. It's hard to, I hope the history doesn't go away, because that's where this started. It started on the West Coast, and then it lended itself over to Texas A&M and Fresno State and different teams across the country. Then it came to Oklahoma and then to Michigan, and you saw it starting to spread itself. But it wouldn't have happened without elite teams on the West Coast. And I remember Candrea in Arizona just beating the crud out of us. I think my first year we played them 8 times. The coach that didn't get the job lined up that purposely. So we got our tails kicked, but I sat there and I watched and said, how are we going to get athletes that look like them? So one of the best things that happened to me was getting my rear end kicked by the Pac-12 to learn what elite softball looks like. So I appreciate them for helping me understand what it looks like. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. But it's hard. I'm not even part of the Pac-12, but I am part of the love of the sport and the history of it. That's really going to kind of leaves a hole. But I'm going to keep trying to teach our program about it.
As a follow-up to that, I know the power has shifted, you guys playing a big part in that, but now with you in Texas going to the SEC, do you almost see the SEC taking up that mantle as the preeminent softball conference?
There's so much talent across the country. I mean, everybody talks about the SEC being so loaded, but when you look at who's here, you can see that there's parity across. So I think the SEC is going to continue to be great, but then I also see the Big Ten's going to go to another level and so forth. So I think softball is in great hands right now.
All right, we'll go front row right to Ryan.
Kelly, Patty talked on Thursday after the first Florida State game about how important it was for you to stick in there and keep fighting through. You've been excellent in postseasons past. As a senior, how do you still take those experiences, learn from it, and propel into what you want to do this week?
I mean, I think you can't dwell on it too much. I think just being in this moment, using my experience, being here before, just really relying on my team to have my back defensively, the pitching staff. We're all going to maximize our roles, and then the offense, of course. So just being able to rely on each other in this moment and just know that we're here for a reason and we're going to be present.
Did you learn anything different about yourself, though, on Thursday to have season-high walks, but it wasn't like a bunch of runs, a bunch of traffic, still able to fight through that and get the results you needed?
I mean, yeah, I think it was good for me to kind of go through that. You don't want to be comfortable all the time, and it's good. You learn your best from whenever you're uncomfortable. So being in that situation, I think I've learned a lot, and I've worked hard this week on just getting back.
All right, we'll go front row left to Jenny.
I feel like this might be an eye roll question, but Mike White said earlier this week that he felt like a rotation for the Women's College World Series might be something that the sport should look into. What's your feeling just about that possibly happening? And obviously you get a lot of Sooner fans in the house when it's here in Oklahoma City. Just the advantages, if any, you feel like having the event here.
Well, it's no doubt that Sooner fans come out, but if you have it in Omaha, Nebraska fans are going to come out. Where are you going to take it? Who's got a 15,000 plus stadium to have it? So, I mean, there's nothing we can do. It's not our fault. It's no one's fault, except it's the people of Oklahoma City that put in the money to make this happen. So it's a celebration of that. You can look at it any way you want, but someone's going to have to put up big bucks to try to get it somewhere else. But I know this is a long-term contract as well. So, you know, everybody has their opinions, but as long as it's here, we're going to take advantage of it. just like anybody else would.
Right, we'll go second row on the right to Myron.
Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. Patty, and maybe Kinzie, you jump on this too. You guys have had great teams, obviously, win these things. Great hitting, you come through losers bracket, good pitching. But is there a common thread that you can look at and say to win this week that you can look at and say that your teams had to get this done?
Well, you want to really play well right out of the gate. It's important to try to get that first game, but we have been in a position where we've lost our first game and came through the losers bracket all the way through to meet Florida State, who did the same a few years ago. So we know what is important. It's to win early, but you got to play well. So obviously it's getting the breaks. Sometimes it's you're earning things, sometimes you're getting breaks. So we're just got to take everything we can from it, learn from it. We got to make quick adjustments at the plate. Pitching has got to be good enough for us to make plays on the field, keep the ball in the park, minimize free bases, and we can have a lot of success. But we got to have at least two parts of our game working really, really well. If we get three, we're going to be a very, very hard team to beat.
Absolutely. I would say that the common thread between all the years that we've been here would say that the mental toughness and the mental work ethic. You know, you can be the best athlete physically on the field in the game of college softball, but if you don't have it upstairs, then you're going to crumble at the World Series. I think this is the best arena for college softball. Like Coach said, this stadium, this 15,000 people, you know, this is, we're going to war out there in between those lines every single day. So that's something that I would say that we work on every single year. Coach described the fall, you know, the fall at the University of Oklahoma on that Marita Hines field is pretty grueling. But when we step on this field here in OKC, that's when it 100% pays off. So I would say that that would be the common theme every single year for sure.
Okay, we have time for two more, Cliff and then Barry.
Cliff Brown, Associated Press. Coach, as you're aware, the agreement involving the NCAA and the conferences last week paves the way for schools to pay athletes directly. Softball has obviously been in a period of growth. This development could certainly affect it. Big picture in the sport, do you worry that this change could divert funds from softball to things like paying football players, or do you believe that there's enough momentum in the sport and that it's enough of a priority at this point that this could be beneficial?
I feel really good about where our sport is. I feel very good about the momentum of our sport through viewership, through attendance, so forth. I just don't know enough about what's going on right now, but I got to trust it's in the hands of those who are going to make good decisions for our student athletes and for athletics in general.
All right, Barry's our last
Just
one.
to follow up for Alyssa and Kinzie on my OSU Texas, any different dynamic with these the two teams you play all the time, and how different it is this year because of those two factors?
No, I think it's, at the end of the day, it's a rivalry, but it's also just a game. And I think for us, the main thing that we've really just latched onto is not focusing on outcomes, and you guys have heard that come from this team a lot, but I think we're playing for 22, which you guys have maybe heard us talking about, but we play for the 21 right here, and we have another member of our team, and that's Jesus, and I think that's our main purpose here. It's not really reading into who's on the other side of it, but it's just focusing on the fact that that's who we're glorifying. So we don't make any game, any story, rivalry too big, because I think that's not our purpose and why we play this game that we love. It's to glorify the Lord and have fun while we do it, and we're partnering with God while we do it. So it's not for a win or an outcome, but it's for the joy and the freedom that you get to play and have fun and experience these moments with Jesus on your side, not for a trophy or anything like that, again, but just to experience the joy that he really provides to us. So that's what I'll say about that rivalry.
Yeah, well, 100%. I totally agree with everything Brito said. I will say that, you know, they've been chasing us for a long, long time, and it's been pretty interesting. You know, I've been here for 5 years now, and the rivalry, whether Kelly was on the mound or, you know, whoever, they're really good teams. They have some aggressive players. I have a lot of respect for a lot of the athletes on both teams, you know, as we've been playing them for so long. You know, we kind of make friends with them off the field. You see them like at the banquet and stuff, you say hi. Like, I think that's really cool. But once you step on the field, like I said, it becomes like a war for the Lord and for what we're chasing after. So I think that both teams have had a lot of success this year. We've had a lot of success. So I'm really excited for the Big 12. For this is the last year that two of us are here as well. Us, Texas, and OSU are here. But like we mentioned earlier, we'll be leaving for the SEC. So I'm excited to have some Big 12 success here at the World Series. And hopefully we get to step on that field with them coming this week.